So that's at age 50. Let's backtrack. At age 40, your joints erode. At age 45, you have a power shortage. At age 50, your immune and detoxification systems start to become more sluggish. And then at age 55, your memory starts to get maybe a little more interesting. I'm explaining this to you so you can't remember any of the details. So before I show you the slides, let's do it. Hello. How are you? It's so good to see you again. Come on in. And now you're going to the airport after this? Just because you want to fill that up with vitamins before you. In your brain, not just yours, mine too. The memory chemical that allows us to have memory is a chemical called AC, acetylcholine. Right? AC, let's call it AC. And your body makes ACE3. It's a pretty simple pathway. You need some choline, you need some acetyl coenzyme, a little enzyme puts them together, you make choline. You have high doses of choline, you got a pretty good memory as you know. Now, of course, as you get older, this enzyme and this fitting together of these components becomes more sluggish, and so your acetylcholine levels drop down. So memory starts to fade and to fade and to fade. Some of the drugs for Alzheimer's disease, you know how they work? They work by stopping the breakdown of acetylcholine. That's one way to try to have higher levels, is to slow down the rate at which it gets broken down. But by the time you have Alzheimer's disease, honestly, there are other things going on in the nerve cell that make it much more complicated. There's a certain kind of protein being laid down in the nerve cell that's destroying the nerve. It's not just about acetylcholine in Alzheimer's disease. But for most of us, when we're just talking about a decline in memory and moving towards early dementia and memory loss, that there are things that we know we can do naturally to boost the acetylcholine levels back to a more youthful level. It's proven. There are certain natural ingredients that put the choline back in the brain, that put the serine back in the brain from which the body can make that acetylcholine, that can slow down the breakdown of acetylcholine. So it's a bit complicated to explain. I don't have a gazillion hours to spend with you, but I'm going to ask you to just take my word for it when I say that. The way that you get more choline into your brain is with this nutrient, CDP choline. People with early memory loss, people with concussions, head injuries, have shown remarkable improvement with CDP choline. Same with phosphatidylserine. Bacopamine improves nerve conduction and is an antioxidant in the brain. And huperzine A is a natural ingredient that helps to stop the breakdown of acetylcholine in the very first place. And so all of those applied individually have been shown to be very useful. I put them together in what's called memory support complex. I think people by age 55 might just want to take one of those a day if you're interested in maintaining acetylcholine. Food alone is not going to do it. That's the point. That's why I'm saying after the age of 40, you need to, if you're really looking for getting every advantage that science has to offer, you don't really need hormones and stem cells. What you need really is to put targeted nutrients in that counter all the age-related time bombs that go off. And I'm showing you the most important ones because a lot of people go into health food stores and drug stores and they spend money on supplements and they buy things that are hardly even useful, or they have no use at all, or they're actually dangerous in their particular case. They're on an aspirin a day or Plavix and they take ginkgo biloba and they have a bleeding disorder to their brain and they wonder why that is. It's like, you know, if you're going to use supplements, use it in a way that's highly responsible, targeted to your own specific needs. And I'll show you how to get to that right at the end of the seminar, how to really understand what's most important for you. But first I want you just to see this aging process. So now basically the story is over, except that men have a prostate gland and women go through menopause. Maybe you know this. So if we go to the next slide there. In the prostate gland, it's a pretty simple little story. That nature's sort of cruel plan for the prostate is that after the age of 40, even though there's less testosterone that's being made, so the lean mass is breaking down, and men are having, andropause problem. The testosterone that does get to the prostate cell, once the testosterone gets into a prostate cell, it's more rapidly converted into another type of testosterone called DHT, or dihydrotestosterone. As you build up more DHT in the prostate gland, the DHT causes the prostate cells to divide really fast. And so, whenever cells divide too quickly, there's a greater chance that cancer will start. So let's say you had dentures that didn't fit you very well. It's irritating your gums and causing inflammation, cells are dividing fast. There's a greater chance of oral cavity cancer in that person than somebody who had dentures that fit them properly. Is that right, Dr. Drew? That's right. Wherever there's inflammation or cells dividing too quickly, you increase risk of cancer development. So DHT, that's what it's doing to the prostate gland. It causes cells to divide, and then if a cancer cell forms, DHT causes that cell to go, racing through the body. And the DHT, even before that happens, is causing the cells to divide so quickly that the prostate gland is enlarging. Can we go to the next slide? Kind of looks like this. Because it happens to most men. Here's the normal prostate gland here in orange. Here's the cross section. Here's the bladder above. And normally urine comes down through this little tube, right through the middle of the prostate, goes into the urethra and down through the penis. Now when the prostate enlarges, because now the number of cells, the mass is increased because of DHT, it's hard for that urine to get squeezed through there. And so men, their urine stream is weaker. They get up 15 times through the night, and every time they walk by a bathroom, I can't believe that one. And they can't completely avoid the bladder. And so, these are signs of prostate enlargement. Prostate enlargement, the rates at which it occurs in our society is a harbinger for the fact that prostate cancer is also extremely high. Because in cultures where prostate enlargement doesn't occur so much, prostate cancer is also much less. Now, in this part of the world, 1 in 9 men develops prostate cancer. In other parts of the world where dietary behaviors are better, the incidence, listen to this, 80% lower. 80%. Not because of drugs or better surgery, because of lifestyle behaviors, dietary influences, active constituents in food and plants, which I'm going to show you, that can block the conversion of testosterone to DHT. You know that in males who are born that have an inborn defect where they can't convert testosterone to DHT, never been a reported case of prostate cancer. Not one. This is an important part of the physiology. The drug Proscar, that's how it works. Blocks the 5-alpha reductase enzyme. But we know that there are active constituents in food and in supplements that can really, really block this process. We'll take a look. See this cocktail of saw palmetto, Pygeum africanum, beta-cytosterol, soy isoflavones, stinging nettle, and this lycopene, a big antioxidant for the prostate. I put them all into one cocktail. I'm a man. I want the Cadillac. So I put the Cadillac into one cocktail for me. And not only can it block the 5-alpha reductase enzyme, or block the buildup of DHT, but beta-cytosterol has also been shown that if cancer cells start, it can get them to commit suicide. Soy isoflavones do the same thing. So we know that in countries around the world, that it doesn't matter what the country is. By age 50, between 14 and 32% of the men already have prostate cancer cells there. You say, how do they know that? Let's say a person's in a motor vehicle accident and they die, unfortunately. And it's, let's do an autopsy in the prostate gland. This person's 53 years old. We think they're cancer-free, their PSA is normal. We go, oh, look inside that prostate gland. There are just a cluster of cancer cells that haven't really been bothering this person. So we know that in every study done around the world, doesn't matter what the country is, there are some prostate cancer cells there in up to 32% of all men by age 50. The difference is, in certain countries around the world, those cells don't do anything. They just sit there, mind their own business. They don't grow and proliferate and metastasize. Why? Because certain active constituents from food and certain plants can actually stop the cells from getting a lot of replication ability, cut off their blood supply. The immune cells keep them in check. And so they're sitting there, but they're not meaningful. Soy isoflavones are a big part of that story. Soy isoflavones are a huge part of that story. Huge. Because you'll see that it not only blocks the conversion of testosterone to DHT, but it also gets those cells to commit suicide, shuts off their blood supply, does some really cool things. So, just try to bring it to your attention. Now, what about the story around menopause for women? What's happening here? Because it's a mystery. You know, women are saying, what's happening to me? And their husbands are saying, what the heck is happening? Who is this person who I didn't marry? This is somebody else altogether. So, at the end of a menstrual cycle, of course, estrogen levels and progesterone levels are very low. So there's a gland in the brain that sort of picks up that message and says, you know what, we got to get another cycle started. So it secretes two hormones, follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, goes down to the ovaries, says to the ovaries, okay girls, let's get another menstrual cycle going. So there's these little immature eggs inside the ovaries, they start to ripen and mature, and eventually one out ripens the rest and sort of, ovulates into the fallopian tube. And while it's growing here, it secretes some estrogen, and once it's rolling down the fallopian tube, it secretes a little more estrogen, and then what's left behind here, the corpus luteum, secretes some progesterone. And so you have estrogen and progesterone rising and, doing their thing. And then if this little egg cell doesn't get fertilized by a sperm, eventually it runs out of steam, it dies off, the estrogen goes down, and this thing undergoes involution, the progesterone goes down, and so the gland says, I guess we've got to start again next month, let's give it another try. So what happens at age 50? Is it that you run out of egg cells? No. Because there are still, we think 10,000 egg cells left. But let's face it, these egg cells have had 35 years to respond to those hormones. These are the least intelligent eggs. How bright can they be? 35 years later, I don't know what to do.